Hi, okay, this is Kelsey. I'm back with the second segment now. The next endeavor that we embarked upon last year, 2016, was C228. C228, a document that was drafted in Chicago in July of 2016. It's a constitution for African Americans. Uh, and this document was drafted. I drafted this document out of a view of fairness. Native Americans have constitutions on land allocated to them by the United States government. I guess you would call them reservation lands. Certain tribes in Alaska also. I think African Americans are deserving of a constitution too. Our history is rich with the growth of, uh, of America, historical growth of America. We supplied a lot of labor. We fought in wars. We fought in the Civil War on both sides. We defended both flags, the Confederate flag and the Union flag. Uh, C228, so named because last year when I drafted the document here, I spoke about this document on WVON, on the Reverend Al Sharpton show, Keeping It Real, which comes through WVON, Black Talk Radio here in Chicago last year. Uh, the Constitution, our Constitution, does not uh, intend to overtake or usurp the United States Constitution or some other kind of foolishness. It's not like that. It's basically a to-do list for African Americans. To give you a good example, the one of the articles in the Constitution deals with the annual Million Father March, a endeavor that was founded by Philip Jackson of the Black Star Project here on the south side of Chicago. I think it takes place in over 400 cities. You can actually see that more about that on the Endeavor website, we-grow.net. And what it says is that on the first day of the year, the fathers should take their children to school the first day of the year. The small children, take them to school if they can't because of whatever reason, then some significant other. And I saw that too. When fathers weren't there, I saw mothers taking the children to school, perhaps a grandfather or grandmother. But take them to school the first day leaves a lasting impression on the kids. Another example would be funding for our historically black colleges and universities. One of our historically black colleges and universities in 2015, in the spring of 2015, had a very low student body enrollment. I think it was only 15 students. I think they might have had to close for that semester. But that's a task that should be taken upon by African Americans, by black people in this country. We need to have, the article in C228 says we should have an annual launch once a year where people, I donate 10, somebody else donates 50, or whatever the case is, and we donate, not just African Americans, anybody that wants to donate. And we donate that money to the coffers of our black colleges and universities. So that won't happen again. Dr. King came from a historically black college and university. Of course, you know that, Morehouse University. One of the there's no threatening or subversive language in the C228, our Constitution. As a matter of fact, we're actually suggesting that it be made an amendment to the United States Constitution that not only African Americans but any other racial ethnic group should be able should have the right to Constitution if the language and the body of their Constitution purports to enhance the quality of life of their respective peoples. I don't see anything wrong with that. That should be made an amendment to the Constitution. The typical criticism that I receive for C228 is that it's not enforceable. Well, asking somebody to vote is not enforceable either. That's another article in C228. We're asking for 90% voter registration among all African Americans, all black people in America. And out of that 90% voter registration, 90% voter participation. Doesn't make sense to register if you're not going to use the franchise, the right to vote. So I'm just saying it's a to-do list for African Americans. We can't, regarding the criticism of being unenforceable, I can come up to you and say, someone can come up to me and say, hey, Kelsey, I need you to vote in this. We got a big election coming up, man. I need you to vote. Well, I may or may not vote, but it's not enforceable. Okay, C228 was not intended to be enforceable. It was intended to be absorbed in the mindset and in the hearts of people to take upon ourselves a personal accountability, national, community, and social accountability among ourselves. That's really how it was intended to be. And if we can do that, internalize that, then we will have won. But no, it wasn't. It's a mood issue. It wasn't intended to be unenforceable. But then again, there are other matters as it relates to African Americans and our responsibilities and input that aren't enforceable either. So there should be no great criticism about C228 not having the ability to be enforceable. I have to watch the time. I'm sorry if I keep putting it to the website. And so again, you can view this document in its entirety on our Endeavor website, we-grow.net. Last year, an organization was co-founded by a retired school teacher here in Chicago and myself, WAVE, conceptualized as a Black Women's National Organization. The letters in the acronym stands for Women Against Violence, etc. WAVE was conceptualized to give Black women a more heightened visibility and voice in matters as it relates to the Black community, the impact of reduction of violence in our communities, for example. Also, Black women are the anchor. Men oftentimes are incarcerated. Some of them unfortunately end up on drugs, this, that, and the other. The woman is typically the anchor of the family. She's there rearing the kids. Therefore, she has great influence on children. So we want to be able to tap into that, do a little bit more exploration of that. We haven't had enough. We haven't explored that reality yet. Also, WAVE is also conceptualized as being a strong economic arm of the Black community. I founded another organization called WAVE, not WAVE, but Manna, taken from the book of Exodus when God fed the children, Yahweh fed the children of Israel, manna, Moses and company. The acronym stands for Men Acclaiming New and Noble Aspirations. We want Black men to be moral, upright, and dutiful members of our communities. Again, we want to help create a new character for the African American community, take on a new dimension of productive and spiritual behavior and conversation and thought and so forth. We want to do that. We also talked about last year the reaffirming the institution of marriage among Black couples. Mass marriages, 5, 10, 15 couples getting married, 50 couples getting married at one time. If we can do that, then what we can do is we can then begin to see if we can get some assistance, discounts and stuff for hotel rooms, hotel travel, and car rentals, and different appliance purchases and different types of things like that. So that's another thing. Marriage is the foundation of typically a sound society, because two people, presupposing that they're moral, that their values are productive and moral and so forth, they become a union and their morals are meshed and they pass down to the children. And the children then grow up, male or female, grow up and they marry. Again, their values become meshed and unionized, and they're passed on, and the process repeats itself. So marriage is a sound foundation, always have been, for families and the productive growth of society. Goes back a long ways, marriage. We also just recently, I think in January of last year, perhaps even, well, it was January of 2017, I think we talked about the 3 power forces of the Black community, which are national unification of Black churches, national unification of Black males, national unification of Black women. To those of you who don't understand it and wondering what is all of this is about, again, lean not to thine own understanding. When is the last time someone came and said, hey, God, Yahweh said he is ready to deliver us spiritually, economically, socially, more. He's ready to deliver us. When has that happened? Been a while. Has it ever happened? Has it ever been compared to the Israelites, the plight of the ancient Israelites, by giving specific, pinpointed citations about the experience, by saying, hey, this is the 8th, 9th, and 10th plague we're in, economic, social, and spiritual, moral. depravity. We need to work on that. Okay? So let's not criticize it. Let's see what we can do with it to mold it and shape it and make it a reality. Doesn't make sense to criticize it. We've got everything we need. The 3B. We got the documents, we got the resources, we got the agenda and the vision. Why not move on that rather than take on a defeatist attitude or some type of pessimistic view without even giving it a try? That's the sad part about it. Let's do this, okay? So we get those three forces. You know, you get the black churches united, the black men united, and black women united. Out of that triune, that threesome, automatically comes an oversight body. Can't help but have a natural outgrowth of a oversight body that can oversee the growth and the behavior, and monitor the growth and behavior of our children. Very, very good thing. We also profit a black code of conduct. Can't tell anybody what to do, but we have to have certain expectations if we're going to live as a decent and civil society. That's all over generally, and particularly, and also in the black community. We can't tell anybody how to act, but there's certain expectations. All black men, we respect all women. That's going to be a mandate. We don't care what you're wearing. We don't care what color you are, what race you are, what your viewpoint. We respect you. Okay, may not agree with you. Okay, may not come over to your house for dinner, but we respect you. We will not harm you. Okay. We have a book out, Testimonies, as I indicated, Testimonies, Viewpoints, and Stories, a deliverance book number 1 from a deliverance series. We're going to borrow from the wisdom of Joseph. Joseph, as you know, was a man who became, through a unique set of circumstances, became a powerful influence in the land of Egypt in biblical history. Joseph issued an edict that said, while we're doing good, in good harvest, we're going to store grain for 7 years so we can offset the bad years of when there's drought and famine. So we're going to borrow from the wisdom of Joseph, and we're going to be asking churches and members of the community, members of the black men and black women, to start donating your viewpoints and stories and testimonies about God's favor, so we can stockpile them, so we'll always have on hand a ready source of book material that we can every 4 or 5 months we'll have another book for sale. Keep those revenues, and I'm talking about potentially huge revenues. We can do that, and they're going to be sustainable. I'm 65. Long after we're dead, we can keep this going. So I'm just rushing all through this. We need to have all of that. I want to say right now before we need funding. We need about just say $15,000 to $20,000 for business plans for the Triune, the men's church, women's, black men's and women's organizations, somewhere around there. And then we're through with that funding. That's coming from the total black community. We can do that. Also, we're going to need money for our tax-exempt corporations like Manna and Wave, the women and black men. We need to set up tax-exempt corporations, not-for-profit, for that. And also publication for our books. The book that I just mentioned, we're going to need money for those. Doesn't take that much money to get that book done, not from the national community. I want to address character assassination. I'm going to get it. I was convicted of a murder in 1989 that I didn't do. My challenge is still the same. Let's get 100 pastors together. Let's get the networks out, CBS, NBC, and CBS News, and let's talk about this case, People versus Wick. It didn't happen. It's a lie. I've never killed or murdered anybody in my life. I'm willing to do that. Anytime that anybody wants to open up a challenge for that, I'll be there. And again, we have a couple of more short videos. Irma Yanni, the raw food chef, she's going to share, and also Minister Chris Burton. Okay, so without more, I'm just going to go. I hope God blesses this endeavor and bless you all. Okay, bye-bye. Gotta go.